Well, hello, everybody. My name is Whit Eric. I'm CEO of Hill Country Tech Guys, and I have Sarah Eric, COO of Hill Country Tech Guys. We're here on another lovely Thursday doing our 4 o'clock webinar for you. I'm excited that you've joined us. I'm excited you're here to hear what we have to say and you value this content. Go ahead. If you'd like to view our past webinars, you can find them there at htechguys.com/blog. We will have this one up there in a week or so, give or take. And, we're trying to keep it going. So.
Which is just a nice also reminder that we do record these. So if you do have any questions, you can put them down in the chat. And if you want to remain anonymous, just write that in there as well. And we will not say names, but we will address as many questions as we can.
Thanks. Hello, Katie. Glad you joined us. Our next webinar is going to be next September on the 17th. We are going to have a guest speaker from Otava. They are a virtual private hosting company. They're going to talk about themselves and what they do for a little bit, but the main goal they're going to talk about is talking about the different ways that it moves your data. You can move your data to the cloud and the pluses and minuses of each way. Going full hosted is quite expensive, but there's a big difference between full hosted, having partially hosted, or just a single application. And we feel like each one has a special place. So we're going to have Mr. Bigler with us, Jeremy. He's a very good friend with them, and I think it's going to be a great conversation we get to have. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to enter them in the chat, and we'll try to address them as we go through. For those that you know, we have allowed you to talk, and we have no problem with you joining the conversation with us. We're here to discuss and learn, and we feel like it's very valuable, the content you guys bring. Today, we are talking about how to best leverage your IT. And by that, we're not talking about, making sure they're closing tickets fast and making sure that they're responding quick, but in a positive joint IT conversation, where together you're trying to make your infrastructure better and you're trying to be more productive. There's just some things that we believe help that conversation go down the road. And today we want to kind of highlight some of those conversations and what that looks like for us. And today I want to let Sarah talk mostly, which is exciting for me. And that's why I'm introducing today, because I feel like Sarah has had a lot of interesting relationships with different types of account managers, and I've heard her talk about it, and she's very passionate about our account management process that we're building, that we're adding to and doubling down on, and it is definitely kind of her baby, and she's built up a lot of tracking and the metrics and the conversations, so she's going to talk about it today, and I'm super excited to be here to support her and lend my 2 cents where it's worth. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am not IT by nature, and most people that know me will know that because I'm very honest about it. I didn't come from IT, but I happened to marry into it, and I'm very thankful that I got to be fortunate, to be a part of this team. I generally like to tell. It's
working out great for me.
I generally like to tell anybody that doesn't know a lot of IT people or doesn't hang around with them nearly as much as I do, that there's one thing that the majority of them have in common, and that's that they just want to help people. And we have a peer group where we're involved with a lot of IT companies across the nation, and I can pretty much put that down for any of the people that are in IT that come from that environment. The funny thing is that when you ask them, what's more important, to make the customer happy or to set up their infrastructure correctly and get it right in IT version? And if you can only pick one, which one are you most happy about? And it's about split 50-50 about what people think is more important. It's actually one of our interview questions, because I do feel like it just tells so much about what type of IT person that they are. Regardless, though, you can rest assured that generally when you are talking to an IT person, they just want to help you. It is pretty amazing that whatever triggers them early in life to start tinkering around with technology and fixing grandma's computer. That's a lot of them come from that kind of background where they were just happened to be the IT person in their house, and then they went to school to do it, and now they work for us. So I just want to start off with there, because I do offer a different perspective than most people in our company. I actually am more operations than anything else. I come from the other side, and generally can speak more on frustrations of customers than I can about how to fix those frustrations. But it gives me an interesting perspective in the fact that when I'm talking about account management, I want it to be like they're talking to me and how they would try to talk to me about handling those situations. And so today we really wanted to address how those conversations, what parts we play in it and what parts you play in it. Whether you're a customer of ours or not, these are things that any IT company should be doing. Any IT company that you talk to should be having those conversations. And I'm going to be blunt honest that we are not 100% on par with everything. Account management is something I'm very passionate about, and we're continuing to develop it. You guys are getting what my passion is for this, and then we are, and we've built up a lot of the infrastructure and the background behind of it, and we're still pushing it every day because I still feel like there's so much growth in it.
And that being said, that not every IT company provides a side-by-side service, right? We typically call it managed, and there's also what we call time and materials. And a time and materials arrangement, typically, unless you're paying for consulting from your IT company, they're doing what you tell them to do, and that's where it ends. So unless there's something additionally added on to your arrangement with them, typically, if it's a time and materials arrangement, hey, my computer's broke, okay, let's come fix your computer. They'll come fix the computer. It's not a forward-living arrangement. Just kind of drawing that line into two types of arrangements.
Yep, that's absolutely right. When I explain it, it's time and materials, which means that you're paying by the hour, and in that relationship, you're leading. And there's outsourced IT, or managed services, and in that arrangement, the IT company should be leading that conversation. We don't always hear that's happening, but it is a very difficult thing to do, as I'm going to go and explain what that all means. It's because there's just so many different levers in it, but it is something that every IT company that you have a managed service agreement with should be doing. Okay. Okay, so just to get started, he actually covered what I wanted to make sure that we understood about the time and materials and managed services, and that's the two basic relationships in any IT company if they have either or both. But what we really want to focus on is that business strategies and technology strategies, what our goal is in managed IT is that those strategies are aligning. And that is what account management to us is about. It's about making sure that we as a company are understanding the business goals and strategies that are happening with our clients so that we can make sure that the infrastructure that we're setting up, that we're preparing for them for, matches those business strategies. Whit is amazing and phenomenal at this. It's one of my favorite things to sit in with a customer and watch him listen and understand and really hear goals so that he can, it's almost overwhelming sometimes where he's like, okay, well then you got to go here and you got to go there and you got to make sure that you're doing this. And the reason that it's beautiful is that's not a talent everybody has, but that's one that we're trying to really push within our environment to make sure that our customers are getting that kind of analysis of these goals that they're bringing to us.
I feel like sometimes the relationships, they kind of goes into how many old computers do we have, and is there enough server space? And that's not what we're talking about. That is like, in our ideal customer, we honestly set up a budget with them. Hey, this year we're going to do this, this, and this. And that's the last time we talk about prices, replacements, and that. We just do it. We do it on that schedule, and it's just over. And the rest of the year, the conversations are around what is holding your business back, right? So there is a difference. I know a lot of people go out there and call account management just, replacing computers and this and that. And that is like, well, that's the first step. Step one is getting you on good hardware that's going to keep your business running. Step two is now, what is the goal of the business? What is holding you back from that goal? All right, where does technology fit in there? Or where does some other random piece of knowledge that I picked up from the other, thousands of conversations I've had with business owners and how they're growing their business? And, typically after a year working a business owner, I can typically tell how that business is doing because there's very obvious trends that you can see with growing businesses and businesses that are stale and not moving. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so things that we definitely want to know about and that are important to us, or just for examples, are like downsizing or growing, expanding, buying another company, going to another location, thinking about or evaluating softwares and the integration of those into your systems. Though we don't do a lot of software, like we don't we don't sell any software, I guess we sell cloud services, and then
We don't sell any line of business applications.
thank you, that's the word I was looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah, I knew where you're going.
But we do advise on stuff that we've seen that have helped other customers and get their stuff set up. So any type of major change that you're wanting to do or struggles that you're having within the company. I know Microsoft Teams has been such a saving grace for companies that are like, we're really having a hard time working from home, but also, having video chat and having a place where we can all talk to each other. And so it's been one of those resources that we've been able to push for a multitude of issues that are coming about. So knowing your goals, knowing your struggles is a huge part of what we're trying to do. Symptoms, I wanted to be able to provide some symptoms of what we've seen when we don't understand the business strategy, or when the technology that's going in doesn't meet the business strategy that's necessarily needed. And we've seen wrong technology for the job. We've seen servers that were sold a year ago that are now way too small for the company because we had no idea the type of growth that they were expecting in the next year. Growth stalemates, because there is a part to where technology can't go past certain even devices, right? There's certain
limits,
firewalls and limits that they have, and so we've seen that they've literally had to stop growing until we can get all of that fixed for them. Last minute moves can cause duct tape solutions, and what I mean by that is whiplash, because this happens a lot, right?
There's hardly anything that Best Buy or Office Depot sells that you need in a business over about 10 users. You can go get a cable from there, but as far as switches and routers and computers, typically most of those things are not intended for your normal sized business. They're just not.
Yeah. And so it takes us time to bring stuff in. Otherwise, to get you up and running in a day, it's duct tape solutions, which are not good for business, and it's not good for long-term plans. Backup risks. We've had where people have changed stuff without notifying us and not realizing that some of their changes made it to where what they thought was getting backed up is no longer getting backed up. That's a huge one. Security risks are another one. Part of this work from home thing was that we were really trying to get out to everybody that there is a huge risk now that they have on the other side of this where people are going home. And risks that can be buttoned up, but when we don't know about it, we can't get on the other side of that. Unnecessary or redundant hardware purchases, and this is something that I see a lot. If we're not understanding the full plan for the PC that's needed for a certain person, I see a lot of returns of certain computers that they thought would be a good idea, but wasn't. A lot of times when people talk to software people, software have a great idea of something that will work great with their software, but that doesn't necessarily means it'll work great with the entire infrastructure of the company. Something else to be thinking about. And also isolated pictures create isolated solutions. So if we're only seeing one picture that you're showing of this is our goal here, but we're not being portrayed the entire goals for the year, we might miss something to be able to set you guys up for success. You have any thoughts on that, Whit?
No, I mean, it's exactly that. It's like, with technology becoming such an integrated part of the business, it's not good to think that it's literally as simple as, buy this, plug it in, go. There's a conversation that needs to happen around it at a minimum to what it means that we want to change this or we want to change this. I mean, just doing an update to an application can often have massive repercussions on, are we ready to have that upgrade? Are we at the minimum requirements and stuff like that? So it's just super good to have this active moving forward conversation, what we got to do to be ready for the next X, Y, or Z. Yeah.
Great. So in my ideal world and what we're pushing for and trying to do quality control checks and all of that to make sure that we're providing is a strategic meeting that should. And these are all the things that I believe any strategic IT meeting should involve and have. So they should include a decision maker from the client that fully understands the vision and current goals of the company so that they can make sure that we're on the same page. WIT goes so far as to say that if you're not to the point where you want to sign a
NDA.
non-disclosure, I could only think of the word and not the acronym for it. If you are not to the point where you can sign a non-disclosure with that person, or you're not willing to share up to that point, then it's going to halt the information that we can provide you, the game plan, which is why we talk so much about us being partners and not anything else, right? It's why we make sure that all of our techs pass security checks and do all these things. It's because we have to have the trust, otherwise we can't provide the full solution. And I don't even know how best more to say that. I mean, it is a struggle.
I think our best relationships are customers that we straight up get into profitability conversations, and we straight up getting into the process of doing their job and where it's hurting them or where they're held back and what is happening. And it's not always a technology thing. Sometimes it is a technology thing. Sometimes it's just straight up, people. How do we manage? I mean, that's most people's problem, is managing people, managing their largest assets, which is the employees that they have, and they're paying them a wage. Managing their time and keeping them effective, making sure that they can get to their data is the first step. But then what are they doing with that data? How are they using that data? How are they, how much time, how much duplication of work do you have inside your organization? Having those conversations, it's just, the picture starts to open up, and it's not an overnight thing. And it's often a layered approach of trying to figure out where the system is falling apart. And, and one of the things that it's often hard to describe is like, if you have a process that involves technology and almost all you're doing is trying to work around the technology, well, either the technology is wrong or you need to change your process to leverage the technology. I go into these doctors' offices so often, this is just such an easy example, I'll lay it out there for you, where they purchase an EMR, but they still chart on paper and they pay someone to document it in the EMR. And I'm like, why? Well, I'm faster. Are you truly faster? Because you don't have all the information at your fingertips. You've never leveraged your EMR completely. I can tell you, most of them are not good. They all have their flaws. But if a good EMR, if you change your process to follow the EMR, I've had doctors that come a year or two later that we do this with, they're like, thank you. I'm seeing 6 more patients a day. I don't do refill requests till 2 a.m. You can tear this whole thing down to where the process gets more efficient and you get more done. So it's just a very in-depth thing. It's not just, do we have good computers? Check. Do we have a firewall? Check. That's very low operational maturity level way of handling IT.
Yeah. Also, a strategic IT meeting should evaluate the current infrastructure, health, and security. So that's something that we do on every intensive meeting that we have. That's what we call them inside our organization, is an intensive review. And it includes an entire infrastructure health check, basically. So our standards operating procedures put in place for this client, which should create them to be more stable, all that kind of stuff. It should understand the company goals, both short-term and long-term. It should understand the time frames that they want to be rolling out these goals. Should update pre-existing needs or plans that they've set before, and it should create forward-moving plan. So that's what our goals for an IT meeting, strategic meeting. I think the number one thing that I could say to wrap up this portion of it is that for our intensive meetings, or anytime you're meeting with an account manager, whether it be from our company or from another company, bring your goals, bring your ideas, bring your the struggles, but bring your goals, bring your business goals so that we can help you reach those.
And by that, we're not saying the computers never go down. We're saying this year we want to expand into a new market. This year we want to hire a new provider. This year we want to cut our product material costs down by 10%. Bring those goals. Even if you don't think they're IT related, we want to know them. We want to hear them because we want to try to find ways to help you get there.
Yep. And I go as far as to say, send them ahead of time so that we can have conversations about them, so that we can be prepared for those.
Yeah.
You can't give us you can't give us enough information on that.
For sure, especially if I love it when a technical account manager comes to me and says, hey, this customer just sent me this. What do you think about that? And I'll have a conversation with them and I'll say, oh, that's interesting. I'll join the meeting, because it sounds like there's a cool conversation that could be had, and I can help move it down the road. We like to have that stuff as much, the more information you give us, the more we can help you.
Right. So I did want to go back to evaluating a healthy infrastructure and security, because this is something that we do pretty intensely within our company. And I wanted to specifically talk about key metrics, stuff that we look at and just as a performance-wise for each company that says, by our standards, is this customer functioning healthy or not? And there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. We do have checks within the system itself, but then we also have reporting that we pull based off of that client, right? So I'm going to be showing you some information here. Do not worry, I've taken away all customer not names and stuff like that, so you won't see it. These are actually data within our system. So the first number that we spend a lot of time looking at is the ticket per user. The ticket per user is possibly one of the most important numbers in our entire existence, because the ticket per user count tells us whether that customer is having way too many issues. And when we see issues, we don't see, oh, they had to call us and make a ticket. It's not a ticket for us. It's an interruption in the end user's day. It is making those customers where they don't have the function or the fluidity in their day. And it is what we 100% spend all of our time trying to minimize, is the impact of issues on clients' lives, right? So we do spend so much time investing in what's causing issues. Are there things that are causing too many issues? Are there especially issues that are not proactive or planned in advance? So things that are down right now, those are what we all say, like those are the something's not working. That's these type of things that we're trying to minimize as much as possible. So this is the largest number. So this is a metric that we have. We call it the reactive tickets per user. So across our entire fleet right now, we have 0.67 reactive tickets per user. 0.67 is good. I will tell you that industry-wide, I did a lot of research on this. There's difference per industry about what best in class looks like, but as an average, best in class numbers are 1 ticket per user. So we are doing really good at 0.67 tickets per user. I will tell you that my goal for our customers this year were 0.5. And COVID messed us up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. That was a goal that I set earlier this year, and COVID put a hiccup in my plan. But I've still been really challenging our account managers to be going in there, making sure that their infrastructures are clean enough to where it's getting that number down.
Yeah, and sometimes this number, I mean, it's sometimes it's hardware, sometimes internet, sometimes it's one user, sometimes it's the software application you're using is a kludgy son of a gun, and we come back to you and say, look, we can see all these issues are straight up of this software, and maybe we need to evaluate a different piece of application or a different way of using the application. Anyway, it's cool. We're going to show you some of that in another slide, but it's such a fun number to tear that apart and try to find out where things are coming from.
So again, this is one of the numbers that I challenge our account managers to look into prior to having any conversation with a customer, because sometimes it's stuff that we can fix on our end, and sometimes it's things that we need the customer's help to fix. But either way, it's something that they should know about and be able to talk to the customer about and say, these are the issues that are caused, and this is like the #1 issue that you're having. Which kind of goes to the next one, or next few. So the next one is the tickets open by. So we have metrics that show the tickets open by, and this one is actually by user. So if you saw this, and this is across your fleet, so end users across the board, and this is how many tickets per user that are opened, you'll probably see in the middle that there's this huge spike. And if you had the names there, which I've taken out, you'd be like, oh my gosh, who's that? It's okay, that's the proactive user. I already looked on this chart. But for the rest of them, you'll want to see what's going on. It might be that they are working on a piece of hardware that's problem. They might be working on one software and be the only person that's in that software that's causing a lot of problems. But regardless, you'll see across the board who's having problems, and then we can start diving into what kind of problems that one person's having.
Every Monday they forget their password.
Yeah, that happens. And then we find, you know, maybe a password solution to have would be good for them, so they don't have to, you know, remember that from week to week. But it's just another tool that we have that says that we can go in there, and it also helps some checks and balances for customers to know what kind of issues are going on and who's being affected. Maybe it's an entire department that's being affected, but this gives real metrics to who's having the issues within the company. So Sorry, hitting the wrong button. I'm here now. Also, what I've been talking about a lot is the type of tickets that are opened, the incidents, the requests, and the problems. This is one of my favorite graphs I'm about to show you. And again, it's stuff that I have my account managers reviewing regularly before they're going in and talking to a customer. But it is what shows, this is one account of ours, and it shows every single issue that for the previous month that they had and what they were having, whether it was an incident. So an incident is where something didn't work like it was supposed to. And then a request is like a change order, add, change, move is what we call them. And a problem is that this is an issue, but there's underlying problem about it that we need to go and fix. It's a bigger issues. Or incidences are generally quicker. They're, less than an hour, probably 2 hour fix, whereas problems can be up to 4 hours, 8 hours, changes, stuff like that. So that's what you can see here. So we can see whether they're software, laptop or workstations, meeting with the account managers, and you can see on this particular person, printers and scanners is a huge issue. So that would be one thing that I would have them go and look into if I was this account manager. That and software, and I'd say, is there something that we can look into there that could help them streamline that or get a more permanent fix for whatever those problems are? Ticket trending is one of the last things that I really make them dive into or ask them to dive into. And it just basically says, out of all the tickets open, what does that look like for them? So unfortunately, our graphs are not super pretty right now for multiple reasons. I don't like to blame COVID, but a lot of it is COVID. This is a customer of ours.
It tells a story, and we know this customer, and I'll tell you this customer, in December, in November, they buy a bunch of stuff, right? So this is that stuff getting deployed in the infrastructure, right? Whatever things need to happen, this is that happening, right? And then it gets quiet because, everything's cool, and it's getting back down more to normal. And then COVID. And then everybody's good, and now we're all trying to get back in the office. So it can straight up tell a story looking at these ticket data, and you can see it happening, right? I happen to know this customer has 60 users. So, their average ticket is down here at 20. Even with all of this chaos, they're still averaging 20 tickets per a week. So that's 60. And they're one ticket a user average, thanks to COVID, right? This is a weekly graph right now we're looking at. Mark for that week. Oh wait, no, let me think about that.
It's monthly. It's a monthly graph. Normally they're looking at it on a weekly basis, but I, for simplicity, put on a monthly graph on this one.
Oh, yeah, anyway. So that's the story we can tell. We want to be able to tell the story. Now, if the graph is just bonkers, what's going on? A lot of times we can trend an uptick in new hires or even terminations, because with the termination, there's often a lot of cleanup tickets that may go with dealing with that customer's data. New locations, new employees, new processes, new allocations. We should be able to trend that with this. So
you're absolutely right, Whit. I should correct myself. I like pretty graphs where their numbers are going down in ticket per user count, because that to me means that we're doing our job. But the reality is that life sends us curves, and as long as we're able to make sense of it, then it's okay. But as soon as it stops making sense, that's when we should be diving into some of the other stuff. But it's just trending on that, right? So other information that we've had earlier, but trending. I will say out there that we do not set up all users or all points of contact to get this automatically, because there's so much data. I'm afraid it will just almost just overwhelm people that we have in there. Training. And it can be noise and without training. That is exactly right. So if you do want to see more of these reports or go over them with myself or account manager, I have the email up here that you can send saying, hey, I want to get some of these reports sent to me on a monthly basis.
There's a little typo there. It's .com, not .co.
You are right.
It's all good. Most people would get it right by accident, but
that's why you're here.
It's an IT problem, I can't not see it.
Okay, so then there's the other side. So that was really the strategic ways about how you can better leverage any IT company. I wanted to flip a little bit to the support service side, because I do see that I'm not an IT person, so I a lot of times have the same issues where I'm like, hey, I have to make tickets for my company. It's awesome. It's cool because I get to get help from our guys and see how we do it, right? And being on that side. But there is a lot of things that I know because I've been on that side, what we can be doing to help get quicker, faster, more efficient help. And so I wanted to put those out there because this is things that you can be teaching anybody that when they're getting help from us, that can help us do it the quickest that we possibly can, okay? So number one, that communication is clear, and clear communication, right, is key, sorry. We don't have one customer, we have a lot of customers. So when you're talking to a tech who's just gotten off another one, they might have to take a few minutes to get grounded back to your network and your environment. And what we have for them is a whole system of IT documentations that they can go to, and it has the information for our clients, it has network maps, and it has all that to where they can go into there and get oriented really quickly into what your exact environment looks like. But giving them the information about that really does help. So just think of it like a puzzle that you're going into and you're trying to solve, and you're trying to paint as much of the picture for them as they can. This is a lot of problems. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, like painter, pointer, communicator, but it tends to be a lot of problems for people that want to be able to give I just want to give you one sentence and move on. So it really does help. It's not always essential, but it really does help get the most efficient and quick help from us. So one of the things is who, which is not just I'm making this ticket, but ask around about who else is experiencing this and the impact. Is the entire office experiencing this, or just you experiencing this? Is it a department? If you can give us a little bit more grounding on that, it has us starting from less of a high overhead and farther down onto who exactly.
One of probably the biggest time wasters we run into is everyone is having the issue, and then we dive into it and it's 2-3 people out of 40 or 30 or 20, right? Like, because when we're troubleshooting it, we start at the top and work our way down. But when it's 2 or 3, we would start at the end and work our way in, right? So we do waste a lot of time with that one question. Is like the who and even the what kind of tie in there. It's all, and is it every
we waste
day?
Just as much time. I know. Yeah. I think we waste just as much time helping when we start from the person. When we get a call that says like I can't work, and everybody in the office knows that that one person called that says that I can't work, and so we're starting on a person level and having to work our way back. Knowing who is impacted is super helpful to know where we're starting at. And then it's the what. What devices are impacted? If you know your device's names, that's great. If not, the location generally does help as well. And then what softwares? Is it all softwares? Just as much information about all of that as possible. There is one other thing that I wanted to say about the what. And it's that, contrary to popular belief, the number one identifier of reoccurring issues is the end user that's experiencing the reoccurring issue. And I know it's kind of a hot topic because people want us to know before them that something's been reoccurring, but it generally takes us to go back to those reports and see that there's some reoccurring stuff going on one person or one hardware for us software to notice that. And so if an end user is saying that they're, hi, wait, someone talking?
I think it was Lisa, she's unmuted.
And rotate.
Okay. You want to mute her then?
Well, I guess we need to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks. So the what and letting us know when there's a reoccurring issue. So there's ways that you can do this, which is just like, hey, I believe this is a reoccurring issue. It's happened, and then as close as you get to the times, it happened last week. It's happening every day. All that kind of stuff can get it to where we can then be better helpers about escalating that, knowing that it's a reoccurring issue, and not just putting the same fix on it that we did the last time. And then when. So there's the topic of when, because I hear this one a lot where our phone calls dropped and they're saying it's our internet. And our number one thing that we do, then we have to go do that, is figure out when that happened so we can start identifying what exactly was the cause. Was it server related? If they're VoIP, was it internet? Those types of things was stuff that we can go look at, but without a timestamp or a frame around it, we really have no idea. So when something happened is very important as well to identify whenever possible.
Yeah, one of the things that we have an app we deploy out to typically most every computer, that Desk Director, that allows them to create their own tickets. The great thing about that is if you create a ticket from Desk Director for your own issues, and even better, attach a screenshot, it answers the who, what, when, where instantaneously, because we do it right then. We screenshot, shows the time on your computer. All these things get answered, and it really helps having that. Is, it's just, it checks off a lot of check boxes and helps speed us down the road with, being able to help you faster. So.
Yep.
Little input.
And also the where. So what locations, is just as important. So again, we can solve problems without all of this. We can dive in. It just takes a lot longer because we're starting with a corner piece to start a whole puzzle instead of having the framework around it to start it, is really all that I'm trying to say. Not really trying to put anything on anybody else's plate, except for this is what can end up helping you in the long run. And then the last thing is know how to communicate with your IT company that works the best for them. For instance, for us, emails work just fine for issues that can wait a couple of hours. But if you're expecting something like you have a critical issue and you have an entire office down, call. That's something that we have people on call, waiting, standing by to attend to. And most IT companies work the same way, that email takes a little bit longer, and no one hates a call to say that we're critically down or something like that. Sorry, I keep clicking off of it and it doesn't like it. Okay, the last thing is support service management tips. So these are tips for managers that are overseeing the IT service in their company. So liaisons that work with us, or just people that have I don't know, any type of management. They're the ones that are responsible for the tickets at the end of the day, and they're the ones that are being asked by the other people in the company about those types of things. These are just tips that for us, for them, right? And I think the number one thing that we see is that letting the end users create and manage their own tickets. Manage might be a strong word, but let us work directly with end users. It is so hard to go through people when we're trying to troubleshoot an issue when the end user was the one that was experiencing the troubleshoot. It also helps us work with the end user to teach them how to do, normal stuff that they might be just having trouble with. So it gives them more education too. It just usually ends up creating a lot of noise for one person and a lot of it's just so very difficult, quite honestly.
Messes up the data too, because all the tickets end up on one person, and it doesn't track better to where the problems are coming from and who the problems are coming from. And it's almost guaranteed to increase your resolution time by about 45 minutes.
Absolutely. We usually see the highest complaints that we get on resolution time is when we're working through another person, when we're not going to the direct end user. So I do want to put that out there. It's not something I'm proud of, but it is something that we regularly
and this is
find.
Across all of our customers, the ones that have a point of contact, and all the tickets, like quite literally, they don't let their people open tickets. They have them go to this point of contact. It always takes longer, hands down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I see resolution times on our board because we do a watch resolution as well. And I do see those, for those customers, resolution time is higher. That's just the plain of day. Yeah. Reducing noise from the managers so that they can focus on escalated and decision-making issues. The other thing that I find when I'm going through that one person is that they get so many tickets and so many emails from us that they stop listening to it. And then when we're trying to get answers back about a larger issue or a decision, like a larger decision-making issue, we can't get them to respond to us. And it's usually because they've created like a filter, a box that they'll go review every once in a while. So actually taking some of the noise off of them allows us to help move the company forward faster.
Very much so.
Utilizing the portals to keep an eye on. So we have a portal, most IT companies do, that you can go and look through all of the tickets for your company. So instead of trying to keep a tabs by all the emails coming in, you can get logged onto that portal and have it up all day long and see them coming in, and you'll get actually quicker time at seeing us respond to stuff as well. So I always recommend that for somebody that wants to see or needs that, or their job is responsible for seeing the tickets that flow through. And it will look a lot cleaner than emails. So the thing about the emails is that you get one email whenever we're moving ticket statuses and around so that you can understand where it's at. That just creates a lot of emails, right? Where in the portal, you'll see it by ticket, and it will show just like we see it on a ticket page. So it kind of reduces some of that chaos and noise. And I think the last thing is that it's filling out these customer surveys. So we know we're not perfect, and we 100% appreciate any feedback that we get from our customers because it allows us to jump on it a lot quicker. When we get like a red alert that says the customer was not happy or not satisfied with their ticket closure, it pings their entire management team. It goes to their account manager. We immediately review the tickets, and it's quick and it's intense. And the reason the way that we do that is because we want to know if this is a tech issue, if it's an infrastructure issue, if they're having reoccurring issues that are not getting resolved, can we get to them faster? We use it for so much. It is the #1 way to get back to us and get us involved into how we can help. On the other side, it helps us if you're normally happy and great and everything, and then it just dips maybe just a little, it triggers us to say, hey, what happened there? They're usually very happy. So filling it out, whether it's negative or positive, helps us kind of just mediate, again, how you guys are doing as a company. Also, our techs love it when you guys send out a little, hey, you did awesome. They really do. It really makes their day. We usually share it with everybody that they got a shout out personally to them. And, you know, with guys and girls that just want to help people, because like I said, that's what every IT person has in common, it makes their day. And that is all I have on leveraging your IT company. So we do have another webinar coming up. Man, I went long and I apologize, guys.
That was fun.
It's always mine, isn't it? That's always mine. I try to get too much stuff in here. But our upcoming webinar is September 17th. Again, we're going to be talking about cloud. We're going to be talking with the cloud company that we utilize a lot to get people working from home in a quick manner. So it'll be kind of interesting to talk about their take of it and how we've been utilizing them and possibilities for other people to utilize products like theirs. Anything else, Whit?
No, that was great. I really enjoyed letting you lead it, and it was fun to hear you and go with it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I haven't seen anything in chat. If not, I mean, I guess we can thank everybody. Have a great day. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate the feedback. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a month. Looking forward to it.
Bye.